Hold on to your makeup brushes because we have the one and only little Miss Gurung joining us today on the Real Deal podcast with Aanam C. Shraddha Gurung has been a content creator for so long. Her honest personality, her hilarious attitude on how she approaches the beauty industry, her very, very gossip-loving personality is all things you're going to get a little bit of a gist of on today's episode. So sit back, relax. I promise you this is going to be a very fun one. Welcome to the pod, Shraddha.
Hi.
Listen, I have a feeling, that this conversation is going to go in several different directions. For context, to those of you who are listening, Shraddha and I have known each other for, I want to say, 8 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
And she is one of those people that I feel I can turn to for advice at any point of time, who is turned to me for advice. And our friendship is very not limited to the industry, if that's the right way of putting it.
That's exactly how it is, right? It's developed. I think we knew each other through work. And then over time, since we've just talked to each other, and I think advice thing also plays a big role in that, it's kind of developed into this friendship where now we talk about anything and everything, and it's hard to let each other finish because we have that many thoughts and that many things to say to each other.
It actually has come to a point where sometimes I take notes down because I know I need to tell her this when I speak with her next. I joke and say this, but I also mean it if I'm being honest. You are literally the Delhi version of me. I think for, just so people get to know us a little bit better on the personal front, the common problem Shraddha and I have, is it the right way to say it that we're just too nice to people? Is that the right way to say it without sounding like we're tooting our own horn?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to go about it. But I also think that it's, we like to be fair in terms of how we work with people and in every other aspect, fair and ethical. And sometimes the industry can be everything opposite of that. We're not too nice or we're not too great. We're just how we should be. Unfortunately, the standards are so low that we get screwed over for being ethical or fair.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. But I feel that that's where that is. We are nice. Yeah, of course. Like, it takes nothing to be nice. I think everybody should be nice.
The idea of creators, and I think this spans across several industries, maybe actors, designers, models, the minute they feel they've gotten one bigger campaign, I feel like personalities change. You see a new flip side. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna let you say your side. This is my cue too.
Jesus Christ. As someone who has not once mentioned her opinions in our industry terms, because I think a lot of times people forget that I've been around for a while.
Mhm.
And I've been around on both, agency production side and then doing this myself. Everybody who gets in this industry, all of us have that little thing in our brain that goes, "Main star hoon," and I'm going to be a star. So when you kind of come in with that sort of thought in your head, and then you get like a big break or a big campaign. For us, big campaigns are big breaks.
Yeah.
Right. So it does change. I think it's a little natural also to come to people कि कुछ अच्छा हुआ तुम्हारे साथ. Of course, you'll feel good about it. You'd want to talk about it, or you'd want at least people in your area to know. I mean, attitudes change. That's regardless of what side this person is on. They could be a designer, they could be an actor, they could be an influencer. And now that the influencer industry is growing as much as the beauty industry right now, I mean, that's there. I see it. That's why I think I'm not very close to many people in the industry, and you and I are close because of other things apart from the industry. We've never once bonded over the fact that you and I really liked, say, the L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara a lot, and that's why we're friends.
I do, just for the
I know.
record.
But that's like, it's beyond that. So I keep my distance because I see that both attitudes and personalities of people change. But I do, like, I understand also. I'm always like, for everything that I think about, and I replay this a lot in my head also. I just feel that I get where you're coming from, but it's just not for me. So it's like that. So I see it from a distance, I have my fun, and then I let it go.
But are you saying you get when people become more hoity? Because it sounds.
I mean, yeah, a little. I get it. I mean,
I'll be honest, I don't. Huh?
no, I get
Because I
get
feel
it.
I feel I've been around for 12 years now. I feel like there are, and I'm obviously thinking of a specific set of creators when I say this. I feel like I've had people who've come gushing at me, taking selfies with me, which is really nice and always feels great. It's a great massage to the ego if it happens. And then cut to like 3 years later because they either have a bigger campaign and they have more followers. And listen, I think a lot of people forget that it's the cycle. Everyone gets their turn at the top. And, you'll meet the same people going down that you met going up. I've always believed in that. And to go down is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means you found your stability. Nothing is viral at the moment, but you're still there. Your presence is still there.
Yeah.
So I would hard disagree. Wow, this is one of those few things that we're
Yeah.
disagreeing on. But I'm like, nay, I don't get it. You can't
Yeah.
you can't change the way you treat people. That's not okay. I feel like it's great if you're evolving into, I think, what we could call your higher self.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. At the same time, if the way you treat people and the way your exchanges with people change, my hard stop is there. Because I feel like it's okay to switch the way you perceive things. It's okay to level up, as one may choose to look at it. But I feel when it comes to the way you treat people, if that's where you change and you start, celebritifying yourself in situations that don't need that kind of an attitude, that's where I'm like, okay, in my head, I'm like, oh God, another one bites the dust. Because we see so much of that. Which brings me to a very important point, and again, something that I talk about with my team or just in general within the industry so often, celebrity culture in influencers, right? I feel like when we started out 11 and 8, 9 years ago, it was about the content.
Yeah.
And it was great to have the fans and followers, but it wasn't what we came in for, specifically speaking. I think we had business managers so many years in, but now when people start off, they have the business managers, they have PR people. It's become such a industry, right? And how do you feel things have changed for both? I mean, ideally, better, A. And is there anything that you think you miss of the way things used to be?
I think
Simpler times.
simpler times. You go in with a PR team and a manager and everything. Either if you were already a celebrity, that you're born into it, you're in the industry, and that's a good launchpad for you, and that's a very smart way to go about your business. But if you're just starting out, what do you have to do the PR for? PR karne ke liye bhi to you should have had done things that you can talk about and accolades that you can get or share or anything, right? So coming in from zero in terms of having any online presence or content to show for
Credibility.
it. Yeah. So you don't have anything to show for it, and you bring in an entire team. So that's just that I want to be relevant, popular, and hopefully a celeb immediately. I'm going in with that.
Yeah, you know where I kind of get stuck a lot, and actually I mentioned this in a YouTube video I was filming just a few days ago, a Self-Care Sunday video. I said that I think my biggest problem as a creator and why I feel like, let's say, for example, YouTube gives me joy, this podcast gives me joy, Instagram at one point gave me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
But where I feel I'm struggling with it is, let's say, follower growth, which has
Yes.
become tougher for people like you and me.
Yes.
Right? And we're the kind of people who would say that very honestly, because on one hand, our brains have told us to be, and obviously our journeys have told us to stay original and content and that kind of stuff, like you very beautifully just summarized. And then having said that, when it comes to trends, everyone's doing the same thing. So I'm like, okay, do I emotionally disconnect that now I will just do things that work? Let's just please the fucking algorithm and completely disconnect from feeling happy about what I'm putting out. Because I want to be proud of every content piece I put out, or at least most of the content pieces I put out. That's my struggle. I'm like, should I now listen to, my creative satisfaction? Or should I just bloody hell give in and let this algorithm have what it has? Maybe if I do that, even I'll touch, I don't know, 1 million soon enough.
Ek to I like how we casually throw out a million.
I know, right?
बहुत लोग होते हैं भाई. 100 लोग भी बहुत. एक कमरे में, especially we're in Mumbai right now, and मुंबई के एक कमरे में 100 लोगों को लाओगे ना, सांस नहीं ले पाओगे तुम. That's how many people there are. And between you and I, the amount of people that follow us, and these are people who genuinely follow us, right? They
Yeah.
haven't left because we're not doing all the trends and we're not everywhere and so on and so forth. So they come to us for many, many reasons. And I think our personalities are a big part of why they come to us. And I say this because I've heard people say this to Aanam, and people have said this to me also. So I believe that that's true. I would I would love to believe
Yeah,
that that's
for sure.
true. मतलब यही कि 1 million वाली चीज तो एक वो हो गई है, and you and I both struggle on that same front because we are at this point in time we're looking at everyone around us in the world, and we're trying to match their level of success or whatever is successful for them, or match whatever they're getting, while our ideologies, our foundation is so very different from what they are offering and what they have to offer. तो कहीं पे ना खुद को भी थोड़े थोड़े रियलिटी चेक्स देने होते हैं बीच में कि पिक योर फाइट्स ना, मतलब पिक योर बैटल्स, पिक योर फाइट्स वाली चीज है कि अभी मेरे को खुशी चाहिए कंटेंट से, तो आई नो आई हैव टू गिव अप ऑन अ फ्यू थिंग्स, एंड यू डोंट नो till how long these trends are also going to be popular na, because people are getting sick of this also. Our patience is so bloody low कि अभी हम लोग जो चल रहा है हम उससे already तंग हो चुके हैं. अरे सांस तो लेने दो.
And there is that section of the audience. I mean, there is a section of the audience that supports influencer culture and thinks it's great. But there's also a very big section of the audience that cannot wait for influencer culture to come to an end. And
nobody comes to an end. Koi nahi ja raha. Rakhi Sawant is just as relevant as she was back then. I love her. I think she's entertaining as hell. And I also love her because I know that whatever she does is for entertainment.
When I struggle with myself, because we all have those days where I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Yes. Am I on the right track? I could be making so much more money if I just sell my soul to the devil.
Every day. Every second of every day is like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't get talked about enough. But on the note of you saying, that brands do reach out to all of us for the content we create for them and talking about them to market their product or services on our platforms, tell me your most and least favorite brand collaborations. You don't have to name the brand. I'm not going to put that pressure on you. But tell me like one really great experience you had, and also give me like a really shitty experience you had.
Abina, I'll tell you two really good ones. One I can't disclose because I've signed a non-disclosure.
Yeah, no names. We don't want any names.
So,
that's fine.
we did this really big shoot, and it's coming out soon, and hopefully you guys
I know what she's talking
hearing will see it. I'm very proud of it and proud of myself, which is exactly what I was referring to Pehle also. So, I really like that shoot because of how well I was treated at the shoot and by the brands and what I was told and the kind of feedback I was given for my content. I ask people whose opinion I think matters to me, which would include your PRs, which would include different kinds of people from your audience, and also from just brand reps, production managers, just to gauge what kind of a creator you are to someone else. You always have an opinion of yourself, but things do change when other people, come into the picture. So that was a great experience. And then there's a collab that I've done, which is again not live yet, but that I did. And the brand kind of, they said that this is the concept that we want to promote with regards to this launch, but we want you to do it the way you do it because that's what we've come for. And then I told them there was something that I had to share, like a few approvals that had to be taken. I said that if you trust me, then just see the final film when I share it with you. And I think you will really like it. And that's exactly what happened. And then the brand came up to me khud se samne se and they said it. I didn't ask. My team didn't ask. They said that this is what we were looking for and this is the perfect example of what needs to be done and what we expect as a brand also. So those two have been in the very recent past have been such amazing campaigns. जिससे मतलब अभी सोच के मेरे को खुशी हो रही है कि in these instances you're like नहीं blogging ठीक है, blogging अच्छी है, हम कर रहे हैं.
Those are the biggest compliments, right? When a brand trusts you. Correct. Because typically speaking, when we get general campaign inquiries, brands love to come in with saying, please wear these colors and this is the script. And then people like you and me who have been around long enough have the privilege of saying, okay, no, I will say this in my words and I will say it if I, genuinely approve of these emotions in reviews. And I will say this in my own style. Whereas I think a relatively newer creator would get creamed for saying
They wouldn't know only, na. They haven't spent enough time.
Yeah.
We know because of maybe we also said yes to some stupid campaign or some stupid collaboration
back in the
earlier.
day.
And then we realized, ki, oh, that was wrong. We shouldn't have done it this way. And I didn't know better then. But now I know because I spent so on and so forth. So somebody listening to this podcast probably will know better. People, when they talk to us personally, when they ask us for advice, we tell them already कि ऐसे नहीं करना है, ऐसे करना है. So वो सब वक्त के साथ आने वाली चीजें
So if you're a brand listening, please get an influencer's in on how they think they can creatively market your product or service to their audience.
मुझे कभी कभार ना मेरे साथ बहुत कैंपेन्स में हुआ है अभी रिसेंट पास में कि किसी ना किसी रीजन से जो मैंने फर्स्ट बिट किया वो वीडियो का, मुझको ना जब वो फिल्म बन के आई ना मुझे मजा नहीं आया, वो मुझे खुद मजा नहीं आया. तो फिर मैंने उनको बोला यार एक काम करती हूँ, मैं ही रीशूट करके देती हूँ आपको
At your own expense.
at my own expense. But that's on me because maybe at this point I can afford to do it also.
Fair, yeah.
And also because I've always been like this, क्योंकि उन्होंने मुझे इतना ट्रस्ट करके दिया, उन्होंने मुझे इतना बोला कि आप करो जैसा भी हमें अच्छा लगेगा, then I should also have the same feeling about the brand. तभी आप कोलैब कर रहे हो in the first place.
Yeah.
So like that, मतलब I have heard situations where बोला A करो, बंदे ने A पढ़ा नहीं, सुना नहीं या देखा और D किया, और अब वो they're not willing to change and they are saying shit like I will call you out on Instagram, I will not do this, you pay me, give me advance and I will not do the campaign also. अरे किस बात का पैसा?
Yeah.
मतलब दिस इज नॉट इवन, मैं वो नहीं बोल रही कि मेरे सगे एजेंसी में बैठे हैं या मैं ही बड़ी पर्सनली ऑफेंड हो रही हूँ. इट्स जस्ट हाउ एक बेसिक कर्टेसी, एक बेसिक तमीज हर किसी को होनी चाहिए.
Which will also damage the way influence, like a reputation of the way
Which is why
influencers
people
work.
hate us so much.
I think there are multiple reasons for that, if we're being honest. Wait, but tell me your least favorite.
My least favorite is from a couple years ago, which was like it was not like a brand collaboration जो मैं shoot कर रही हूँ, but it was more like you go to this place and you get dressed, you know, they're sourcing and they're just doing like a say a catalog shoot with you, whatever. तो मेरे को ना ऐसे लगा कि जब बोला था कि हम ये करेंगे and we'll post pictures here and this will be the, you know, the reach of the campaign and this is why we're doing it and this is how we're representing it. पता चला कि उनको बस फ्री में लोगों मॉडल्स चाहिए थे. They didn't get anybody who knew makeup hair artist सही लोग नहीं है. It's being shot in this random farm house जो studio जैसा दे रखा है in the middle of the city only, not anywhere outside. But it was a very वो कि इनको लगा कि ये लोग पॉपुलर हैं, मतलब नॉट माई सेल्फ, एनीबडी हु एल्स वाज लाइक इन्वॉल्व्ड, इनको बुला लो, ये लड़कियों का फेस का वैल्यू है और शूट करके छोड़, मतलब हो गया जो भी है. तो इट्स जस्ट लाइक आई वेंट एंड इट्स लाइक परफॉर्मिंग इन अ मंदिर बेसिकली. जब वो जन्माष्टमी के फंक्शन होते थे ना, तो छोटे में ना बच्चों को लेके वो बना देते थे, कृष्णा और राधा मुंह पेंट करा, जगराते में मंदिर में कर दिया 2 मिनट. मेरे साथ एक बार हो चुका है. इट्स अ वेरी different podcast this will be, but this has happened and वो same vibe आया कि they didn't care for the entire campaign that they were shooting. They didn't care for whoever the fuck we were. They just got us into hair and makeup, which was bad, and then they just said जाओ. I was like, ये क्या हुआ मेरे साथ? Like, have I been bamboozled?
Well, you shared one, so I feel like I should share one really weird experience I had, just in the spirit
Cheers.
of fairness. I was part of this really elaborate campaign a few years ago. I want to say it was 5 or 6 years ago. And it was a really big brand. This brand is very, very noteworthy, has done a whole bunch of events across the country. They sponsor a lot of things.
Mine too.
It's probably the same brand, baby. And I was part of this campaign with about 4 or 5 other creators. And I was promised literally in exact words that every creator is going to have the same weight, which made sense. It wasn't even a question I asked. It was, this information was volunteered to me, and which made sense that everyone has the same part because everyone had similar follower count, similar social media presence.
That's how it should be, even if the followers, everything varies.
So
how it should be.
It was, and again, like I said, this information was volunteered to me. So I said, okay, looks great. Money worked out, deliverables worked out, dates worked out. I said yes, and we were on these really, really great shoots. Mind you, great shoots. The shoots were a fantastic experience. When it's a bigger brand campaign, naturally, brands execute the production and everything.
My brain's running.
And cut to when like the campaign did come out, there was 3 people used and 3 people, let's just say, negligibly used. across all communication. And I was obviously a little bit upset because things like this can tend to make you question your self worth. They can affect your self esteem
Yes.
on the personal front as a creator. I remember going up to one of the reps at one point and saying, "Hey, I mean, you guys voluntarily said, like in this brief email, that every creator is going to have their own, equal weightage and all that." And they were like, "Yeah, brand calls last minute." And I'm like, "So then don't say such things because I didn't ask for this." I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm disconnected and if I'm someone who wouldn't care as much about my job, I would say, "Hey, kya fark padta hai? I to got paid at the end of the day. I'm done." But I'm not that person. I care. We all, when you're involved in a project, you want to care, you do care, and you want to make sure that nobody's brand value is diluted or nobody gets taken for a ride. And in that moment, I felt like three of us had kind of been taken for a ride. And it was a very unfortunate incident and it left a very sour taste in my mouth, obviously, because I was like, yeah, when you there's being a public figure, certain things can really screw with your head.
Of course.
And this was definitely one of those instances in this 12-year career I've had so far that has definitely screwed with my head. And I've been like, oh, wait, I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't if they didn't need me as much, why did I shoot so extensively? Because I did shoots for that campaign till 1 a.m. even. So yeah, that's probably one of my lesser pleasant experiences.
Two things now. First of all, Aanam thinks 1 a.m. is morning on that. And then
Well, that's because I sleep at 10 p.m. and you wake up at
1 a.m. is not morning anyway. Let's be very clear about that.
I couldn't do anything because I had, like I said, I had gotten paid. Yes, they had gone back on their word clearly. And if I was as big a giant as the said brand was, maybe I would have gotten lawyers involved. But that's not how things work in India.
But lawyers wali to chalo chodo, that's a different topic because you're still there in the campaign. I
was barely there.
Yeah, because I have similar experiences, where what was said. So when a creator agrees to a shoot or anything, we are agreeing to every single word that has been written.
Yeah.
Similar, just the way we sign contracts. तब जब उसमें छोटी छोटी चीजें, जब fine print में भी चीजें होती हैं, once you've signed the contract and sent it across, you've signed and agreed to everything written, right? So that way they can't go back, say, I can't go back on my set of deliverables either.
Yeah, but here's the catch, right? When you're writing legal fine print, you're not putting in a contract, every blogger will get equal footage. Their contracts typically have terms and conditions, exclusivity clauses, production timings, how many hours you will shoot for how many days, money, social deliverables. They're not going to get into things that I had on email. I didn't have it in
Isn't email considered legal
like
evidence?
I said, I could have taken it up in various forms. I expressed my grievance to the brand rep at the time and I was brushed off in a very nonchalant way, which I found very strange because my relationship with this brand goes way back. So I found this whole thing very, like I said, it left a sour taste in my mouth.
No, because I would have taken it up with the team and I would have made them do these meetings with me.
The thing is, at that point, my head was in general, it was not in a great place for personal reasons. And then when this happened, it kind of got even worse. Actually, now that you mention it, that phase of my life, those 6-8 months, in any case, were a really low period. In fact, I would say as a creator, it's the first time I probably experienced burnout / questioning self.
My phase was two year long.
What got you there?
My job. Because where I was working, I was producing these videos. I was the talent. I was the face of these videos, which meant that I created about 7 whole videos in one day. I worked about 16, 17-hour shifts. I did not get paid nearly enough for any of that, which is a concern that I'm not just, calling someone out now. I've actually said it to my company, to my HR, ki bhai, this is what I feel. And not emotionally, not what I feel, work-wise what I feel, right? Because I'm an employee and I have the right to say, give this feedback and tell this to you and tell you the reason why I'm going to quit or I want to distance myself. So burnout, I think I had a 2-year-long period where I was at the lowest point in my life, which is when I started taking therapy, which is why I was having panic attacks every day. I had consecutive panic attacks every day at office for a week or two. And then instead of, wanting to help or asking what to do, which is the most human thing to do.
Basic expectation.
Exactly. You hear people talking about, oh, she can't handle it or this or that. I was like, bitch, I am the one handling it. My work is always done, always performing. So it's not that. You need to understand that people around you and the people who you work with, they affect your entire system and how you present yourself and how your brand is going to grow or not in a massive way. So like when you said na ki, you were going through that period, that's your personal thing, right? Nobody knows, right? So iska matlab ye thodi hai ki you'll just take advantage of somebody who's not just said it. There have been times when जब कभी कभी ब्रांड के एंड से कुछ फकअप हो जाता है या प्रोडक्शन के एंड से कुछ फकअप हो जाता है, तो पीपल हैव कम टू मी एंड देव सेड कि आई एम सो सॉरी दिस हैपेंड, this shouldn't have happened, but this happened. The fact that this got acknowledged was enough, because हर चीज सबके हाथ में नहीं होती.
But it's nice.
Things do go here and there. Sometimes वो किसी की गलती भी नहीं होती. It's very coincidental. मतलब वो है. So that's what I'm saying कि आपके केस में and anybody who's listening, in the sense कि they're listening कि अच्छा this is what the older bloggers have to say about what we're doing right now. I just feel that everybody should have enough compassion and enough human nature to be thinking of each other as a human being first, कि तुम पूछो या acknowledge करो चीजें. आपकी जो इंसिडेंट था, अगर वो acknowledge हो जाता, बोला जाता कि yeah, this was like,
that's redemption.
That would have been it.
Yeah.
हम बोल रहे हैं कि you could file a lawsuit, whatever. We're just saying it. But it could have been easily resolved in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5-minute chat, and that would have been it. How difficult is it to do that? Because you and I as creators, we do that. अगर मेरे से गलती होती है कैंपेन पे, जैसे रीशूट वाली बात पे बोला, मैं बोलती हूँ क्या, that's my bad. मेरे से गलती हो गई, but I will make up for it in this way, or I'll give you an extra deliverable. So something like that. It just takes that much courtesy and that much just, I don't know, thinking of each other as humans to
I think
go about things properly.
My head keeps going back to the thing that people think what we do. And I say people think, I mean people even within the industry, like non-creator within the industry. What I mean is like brand reps, digital agencies, blogger representation agencies. I feel like there is a very large part of this section of people that thinks what we do is just so easy. They forget that there's a lot of math, there's a lot of data study, there's a lot of logistics, there's a lot of just blood, sweat, and tears. And above everything, in my opinion, today I'm 31 years old. I feel comfortable enough to say there's a lot of mental health and just your brain getting fucked up in this industry that people really underestimate. Because you are constantly out there. Actually, no, I shouldn't say you never really get to switch off. I think I should say that anyone who is truly committed to the job doesn't tend to switch off. वो भी हमारी गलती है that हम कितने committed हैं. Yes. वो भी हमारी गलती है. So just going to put that out there. But I don't think we get enough. I think that like any other job, you could have a 9 to 5, you could be a business owner, you could be an actor, a model, a creator. मेहनत हर job में लगती है. It's just that I feel all the other professions get their due of अरे ये tough job है, but हमारे जब creators की बात आती है, as social media loves to call us influenza, like literally they call us a disease. They think it's a cool slang, but I'm personally offended every time I read it. Because
I love it because people are so bothered about something that other people do, which means that they truly care about whatever's happening.
No, but it's a disease calling an entire community of human beings that have made this an industry, are making ends meet through jobs. I'll admit, every time I read influenza, it upsets me a little. Not because I think that I'm a disease, but because I think that
I think that was clear, Aanam.
No. But I mean, I have to be so clear about things these days on the internet. But because I feel like you have generalized a set of problematic influencers. I'm not stupid.
Are you talking about the sub?
Oh, should we talk about the sub? We should talk about the sub. Thank you
I've
to you.
I've never mentioned it out loud. I love the
sub. You just did, friend. Well, you and a few others have introduced me to this sub. I think in the Clubhouse days. Yeah, it was in the Clubhouse days. It was in the lockdown.
Around the same time. Clubhouse, oh fuck, that was also something. But around the same time. I think I didn't know of it for a very long time. I got to know through a very public incident. And then, not mine, someone else's.
Okay.
But वो मतलब for context, there's a sub on Reddit that talks about influencers,
God.
and they have all sorts of things to say, which I think a lot of times is like bang on also, but it's also like मतलब gossipy group वाली energy, जो bullies वाली energy नहीं होती, but वो मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि अभी बोलेंगे ना तो फिर वो अभी कमेंट आएगा कि ओ लर्क कर रहे हो, अब पब्लिक सब है, सब देखते हैं.
नहीं, but do you check it often?
Yeah, full. I read it like a newspaper every
Please
day.
don't.
You know why I
Please
read
don't.
it? Because one, I don't know anything about what happens in the world, and then lots of times I started reading it as just like for kicks. कि क्या हुआ? Then I was reading to know, because मेरा knowledge of how many influencers exist
Is very
outside my domain is very limited.
Same girl.
And मुझे बहुत बार पता चलता है नए लोगों के बारे में through that सब, good or bad, right? पहले मतलब आई नो इट्स अ गॉसिप सब, तो क्या एक्सपेक्ट करोगे? मतलब वो ठीक है, हम बेवकूफ होंगे अगर आप सोचोगे कि सब अच्छा ही बात करना है, यही करना है, वो उसके लिए है ही नहीं. वो उन्होंने बोला ना मुंह पे कि गॉसिप करे, तो हम उनको क्यों जज करें जब वो सच बोल रहे हैं तो. बट मतलब पहले वो था किक्स के लिए, उसके बाद मुझे नए नए लोग पता चलने लगे, फिर मुझे मजा आने लगा, तो आई वाज लाइक सुन लेते हैं. बट देन आई सॉ अ फ्यू थिंग्स जो मेरे को मतलब इट्स लाइक ऑन द इंटरनेट ना, एवरीथिंग यू हैव टू टेक विद द पिंच ऑफ सॉल्ट. तो मुझे ऐसे लगता है कभी कभार बहुत मन करता है कि लिख दूं कि ऐसे नहीं होता, मतलब ये तुम सोच रहे हो बट ये ऐसे नहीं है, या ऐसे मत सोचो, बिकॉज यू नो सामने वाले का समझो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. और बहुत लोग वहां पे हैं ऑन द सब ऑल्सो दैट आर ऑलवेज ऑफ लाइक कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग ओपिनियंस, व्हिच आई लव.
So I should tell you how I got on the sub.
Yeah.
One of those Clubhouse conversations led me to this sub, and first of all, I didn't know what the hell Reddit was at the time.
I didn't know either. No,
yeah, so I went like a full noob. I went on it and I typed my name, and I think there was some conversation happening about my fillers, because I'm really transparent about the fact that I've experienced fillers, and I get them done every now and then, and I couldn't reply because they didn't have an ID. So I literally made an ID, Aanam C. So I'm Aanam C.
So you wrote your own name also.
Because I didn't even know you were supposed to be anonymous. So I'm Aanam C everywhere. Then I was schooled that you, first of all, have made an account with your name. Apparently everyone has, alternate names.
Yeah.
And then you have gone and acknowledged. I said, listen, I don't care. For these mind games are not for me. If I'm seeing something, I'll see it. So I feel like at the start of the journey, I would go back and read it. This is when that sub had like 2,000-3,000 members or whatever. Achha. I believe it's
वो नहीं देखा मैंने. I saw it much later, like about 30,000 followers something they had. Then I saw it.
It has... Okay, I didn't even know it
has 50-something thousand now.
Shut up.
Love the growth, guys. I love it. मतलब मेरा idea of Reddit is कि तुमने everybody loves drama, everybody loves gossip, and everybody loves कि एक बार सुन के आती हूँ क्या हो रहा है, and then go. It's like अगर सामने नीचे घर के नीचे लड़ाई हो रही है तो खिड़की से सुन रहे हो, देख नहीं रहे, सुन रहे हो, एंटरटेनमेंट हुआ, 5 minutes and you're out. वो तो लोग अपने लाइफ में भी करते हैं, ऐसे तो नहीं बोल सकते ना कि हम नहीं करते.
I think my problem with it is only that I don't know how to how do I phrase it? Like, because if you're talking about someone I don't know, it probably won't matter to me, like you're saying. But if it's someone that I know, or I know the truth behind that situation, or I know that, okay, but look at it from this angle, then I don't know how to deal with that. Just because I feel like I'm an overthinker.
बहुत बार लगता, that's what I'm saying now. For the 60%, yeah, whatever. But for the rest, like a 30-40%, I feel like अरे यार एक बार इनको बता दूं कि मतलब इस तरह से भी नहीं कि मैं इनको बताती हूँ, ऐसा लगता है कि यार if only someone told them just this from like an insider point of view, their entire opinion will change of this.
I'm gonna do this with my username, like with my profile.
हाँ, पर also ना क्यों आपकी प्रोफाइल पे थोड़ी है. अगर कोई आपको पर्सनली आके बोल रहा है कि ब्रो ये गलत है, ये सही नहीं लगी मुझे चीज, या ऐसे, या डीएम पे बोल रहे जैसे भी, वहां आप डिस्कस कर रहे हो क्योंकि उसने आपको रीच आउट किया ना, उसने बोला ना डायरेक्टली. वो पब्लिकली भी बोल सकता है. पब्लिकली गाली देना किसी को एक बात होती है, पब्लिकली ये बोलना कि डूड तूने तो बोला था ये, पर तूने पिछले वीडियो में बोला ये, तो अभी कौन सा भरोसा करें.
That I understand.
That I get.
I get it. I'm saying where there's logic, it makes sense. When it comes to just personal analysis is where I'm like, oh God, I don't want to know. जानना ही नहीं है किसी और के बारे में. Drum rolls, please. So it's time for our next segment, Associate This. A fast-paced word association game where my guests get no more than 10 seconds to respond. So get ready, get set, associate. So we have a really cool segment on the pod. It's called Associate This. This is where I throw really like random words at you and you tell me whatever comes to your mind when you hear these words.
So far, I think I have been politically correct. Let's go.
Stop trying to be politically correct. Be Shraddha. Beauty.
Aanam.
Aw. Kylie Jenner.
Kim Lee.
What?
Bling Empire pe hai. She looks just like Kylie Jenner.
Golgappe.
Oh, me. Myself. I'm obsessed. Love it.
Are you glad I said Golgappe and not Pani Puri?
Yeah. मेरे को फर्क नहीं पड़ता खाने में तो सेम ही चीज है.
LinkedIn.
Confused. I don't know anything about LinkedIn.
Reddit. You know lots about Reddit.
Reddit is great. Entertainment. Full muft entertainment.
Mumbai.
A city of dreams that my boyfriend hates.
I thought you would say a city of dreams with small homes with your issue.
Yes, but no.
Fashion.
Indian designers presenting in Paris. Because that's what I've been obsessively talking about. Like Gaurav Gupta and Vaishali, yes, right now. Love.
Inclusivity.
Hard to find.
Anam.
I was going to say Chashma Wala.
You can say Chashma Wala.
A friend.
Thank you for coming on the pod. Thank you for coming to Bombay. And hopefully I will see you again very, very soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. It was a lot of fun. And I wasn't politically correct. I was just stating the truth, okay? Bye.
And with that, we come to the end of today's episode. I really hope you guys had a great time listening in. Catch new episodes or catch up on old ones too on Binge Pods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to turn the bell icon on so you get notified every time I drop a new episode. This is The Real Deal with Aanam C.